Gaius was 8 years old the first time another boy knocked him to the ground in front of the entire training yard and laughed while he struggled to stand back up. It wasn't the last time. For the next 20 years, that same word followed him everywhere he went. Weak. He was too slow for the legion trials, too quiet for the Senate halls, too gentle, everyone said, for a world that only respected strength. By the time he was 28, even his own family had stopped introducing him as anything other than an apology. This isn't a story about a man who was never underestimated. It's a story about exactly why being underestimated for 20 years became the only reason he was never destroyed. Here's what almost nobody understood about Gaius. While every man around him was proving his strength in public, Gaius was quietly building something no one could see and no one could take. Every insult he absorbed, every door that closed on him, every year he was called weak. He didn't fight it, he studied it. He learned exactly how anger moved through a room, how fear made men reckless, how pride made even the strongest man predictable. Now stay with me, because what happens next is the exact reason this story is still told 2,000 years later. In his 31st year, Rome faced a crisis no legion could solve. A rebellion led by a general so ruthless, so unpredictable, that 3 separate commanders had already failed to negotiate with him and paid for it with their lives. The Senate, out of options, and honestly, out of respect for him, sent the one man nobody expected to survive the meeting, Gaius. Everyone assumed it was a death sentence disguised as an assignment. The weak man finally sent somewhere his weakness could no longer be their problem. He walked into that camp completely unarmed, and for the first time in 20 years, being underestimated was no longer a wound. It was a weapon. The general expected threats. Gaius offered none. He expected demands. Gaius made none. Instead, Gaius did something no commander before him had ever tried. He simply listened. For hours, he let the general speak about betrayal by the Senate, about broken promises, about 20 years of being dismissed exactly the way Gaius himself had been dismissed his entire life. Every other commander had walked into that tent trying to prove they were stronger. Gaius walked in already understanding something they never grasped. This man didn't want to be defeated. He wanted to be heard. By dawn, the rebellion that 3 legions couldn't crush had ended without a single sword drawn. When Gaius returned to Rome, the Senate that once couldn't be bothered to remember his name stood the moment he entered the chamber. The same men who called him weak for 20 years now called him something else entirely. Dangerous. Not because he had learned to fight harder, because he had learned to see clearer than anyone in that room. Here's the part almost nobody tells you about being underestimated. Every year someone dismisses you, you have 2 choices. Waste that time trying to prove them wrong, or use it to become someone they never saw coming. Gaius chose the second path without even realizing it was a choice. He simply kept observing while everyone else kept performing, and that quiet 20-year apprenticeship in being underestimated became the exact skill that no general, no senator, and no rival ever saw coming. Think about what you've been quietly absorbing while everyone around you assumed you were falling behind. The patience you were forced to practice, the restraint you were forced to learn, the years you spent listening instead of proving. None of that was wasted. It was training you never asked for and never realized you needed. So here's what I want you to remember. The moment someone calls you weak is not the moment to prove them wrong. It's the moment to start becoming someone they'll eventually have to reckon with. Gaius never raised his voice to earn Rome's fear. He simply outlasted every man who underestimated him, one quiet year at a time. Because that's what it means to raise like Rome. To let every year you're underestimated become the exact year someone else regrets it.